of police were seen in Causeway Bay this morning, with some patrolling the street on foot. Tactical unit coaches were parked near Victoria Park alongside a saber-tooth armoured vehicle. Security was tight outside the park as police stopped individuals to check their IDs, including reporters. Meanwhile, part of Victoria Park's football pitches have been closed for maintenance work. The rest of the pitches are hired by 26 pro-establishment groups for a 3-day shopping carnival. Many residents arrived at the shopping carnival at Victoria Park this morning, a traditional venue in previous years for a candlelight vigil. While no candlelight vigil will be held at the park this year, a person held up a sign outside Sogo in the afternoon. Police then pulled him aside for investigation before taking him away. Some residents were stopped by the police and had their bags searched. Some were brought to the police vehicle. On Saturday, on the eve of the June 4th anniversary, 4 people were arrested in Causeway Bay, including a Taiwanese postgraduate student, while 4 others were taken in for investigation. Police said 4 were arrested on suspicion of disrupting order in public places and acts with seditious intent. However, speaking after a radio program today, Executive Councillor Ronnie Tong believes residents still have the right to commemorate June 4th.
I'm not going to give up any advice as to what people ought or ought not do. I think everybody is a man for himself. He or she can decide what to do is best in his own interest. Hong Kong is a free place, provided you don't infringe the law. You can do almost anything which will not be harmful to the community at large. So I would simply say, be yourself and do what the law allows you to do.
Tong nonetheless added people should not gather together and mourn the anniversary in an organized way to avoid misconceptions that could lead to violations of the law. Memos 9, TVB News.
A 39-year-old man is on a holding charge of 2 counts of murder in relation to the stabbing deaths of 2 women. He will appear at the Kwun Tong Magistrates Court for mention tomorrow morning. Plaza Hollywood in Diamond Hill, where the killings took place, continues to be on high alert. Police officers on standby around the mall's entrances. Plainclothes officers also patrolled inside the shopping center. Some citizens visited the site of the double murder and paid floral tributes to the victims. Shops nearby, meanwhile, resumed operations. Despite the fact that the 6th wave of the pandemic is at its peak, infectious disease specialist Ivan Hung believes it's unnecessary to wear masks outdoors. The professor of medicine at the University of Hong Kong also explained the effectiveness of vaccines. Jacky Lin reports. The Shenzhou 15 crew returned to Earth this morning after fulfilling a 6-month mission and completing an in-orbit crew rotation with their Shenzhou 16 colleagues in space. The return capsule of the Shenzhou 15 manned spaceship carrying taikonauts Fei Junlong, Deng Qingming, and Zhang Lu touched down at the Dongfeng landing site in Inner Mongolia. Nasri Karim has more.
As the Shenzhou 15 crew's re-entry capsule hurtled towards Earth, the reassuring voice of Mission Commander Fei Junlong. The crew members are feeling good, he said. Copy that, Mission Control responded. And with that, crew members of the Shenzhou 15 spaceship returned to Earth after a 6-month stint on the Tiangong space station, where they were replaced by a 3-man crew from the recent Shenzhou 16 launch. The re-entry capsule, swaying gently from a red and white spiral parachute, sent a puff of dust swirling into the desert air after touching down at the Dongfeng landing site in Inner Mongolia. Mission Control personnel applauded after taikonauts Fei, Deng Qingming and Zhang Lu signaled that they were all fine. They started their return journey when their craft separated from the orbital module at 9:21 p.m. on Saturday night. Officials described the mission as a complete success. China is in the final stages of completing its low-orbit space station, which would have a lifespan of 10 years. Beijing is building its own orbital module after being excluded from the International Space Station on United States concerns that the Chinese space program was linked to the army. Commander Fei, a 58-year-old former military pilot, was the first to emerge from the capsule. I'm home, said Fei. I would like to report to the people of the motherland that we, the Shenzhou 15 crew members, have completed all in-orbit work and missions and has now returned to the motherland. We are feeling good. The 3 taikonauts will be taken to Beijing as they start the process of readapting to Earth conditions and eating normal food again. Shenzhou 15 blasted off from Earth on November 29th last year on a historic mission to perform China's first ever in-orbit crew rotation with the Shenzhou 14 taikonauts. After bidding farewell to their Shenzhou 14 colleagues, the Shenzhou 15 crew performed 4 extravehicular activities and set a domestic record for spacewalks. Nazvi Karim, TVB News.
Chief Executive John Lee congratulated the crew of the Shenzhou 15 manned spaceship on completing a successful mission. He also revealed that Hong Kong candidates who have reached the second round of the taikonaut selection process will travel to Beijing this week. Defense Minister Li Shangfu has issued a veiled verbal attack at the United States at the Shangri-La Dialogue Security Conference in Singapore. He accused the U.S. of double standards, but did suggest there could be dialogue between the countries soon. This came after the U.S. along with Canada staged a joint sailing mission through the Taiwan Strait. David Garrett reports. U.S. President Joe Biden has signed the bill that suspends the U.S. government's $31.4 trillion debt ceiling. The move averts what would have been a default that shattered the American economy and rippled around the world. The signing, which was close to the press, marked a low-key ending to a drawn-out saga that had occupied Washington for months. The House of Representatives and the Senate passed the legislation over the past few days after Biden and House Speaker Kevin McCarthy reached agreement following tough negotiations. The final agreement suspends the debt limit until 2025 and restricts government spending. Still ahead, Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan sworn into office for a 3rd term. A native New Yorker in Hong Kong turns his love in Cantonese opera into a family production. And Manchester City beat Manchester United 2-1 to win the FA Cup. Welcome back. Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan has been sworn into office for a 3rd term following his runoff election win last week. Signaling that he might be reconsidering a return to more conventional economics, he reappointed Mehmet Şimşek to the cabinet as Treasury and Finance Minister. Turkey has been out of favor with financial markets for pursuing rate-cutting policies that saw inflation spike to 85% last October. Matthew Bray reports. Initial investigations into the worst train disaster in India in decades show it was probably caused by an electronic signaling failure. A passenger train was involved in a collision with a goods wagon and derailed. The collision flipped coaches of the passenger train onto another track. That was hit by another passenger train coming from the opposite direction, causing coaches of that train to also derail. It's no longer just the Chinese who get to enjoy and even perform Cantonese opera. A native New Yorker in Hong Kong found his love in the Southern Chinese tradition and turned his passion into popular stage productions. Take a look. Over to sports. Manchester City completed the English double of League and FA Cup after beating rivals Manchester United 2-1 in the final at Wembley on Saturday. Their next goal is the UEFA Champions League, with Pep Guardiola's men facing Inter Milan in the final on Saturday. Nazvi Karim has more. At the French Open's 22nd seed, Alexander Zverev reached the 4th round after a difficult 4-set win over Francis Tiafoe. And that's the news. Thank you for watching.